Enlil insisted that EA had contaminated the original experiment and therefore it had to be destroyed. And here they stood with the remnant of 4 different experiments: Enlil's slave race, without the fire of the goddess, Project Elohim, the enhanced Neanderthals with the fire of the goddess, Project Erectus, slightly less intelligent than Project Elohim, but also with the fire of the goddess, and the Pleiadian giants, not many of them left, but still a decent amount. "So, what now?" shouted Enlil. The 2 brothers stood and stared into each other's eyes for a while, breathing heavily, saying nothing. Enlil finally broke the silence, calmed down and asked his brother to sit down. Enlil had a plan. He said that both Project Elohim and Erectus had been failures in the sense that these humans were too clever. For heaven's sake, they had eaten from both trees and quickly approached the level of the gods. That was not tolerable by any means. The experiment had gone out of hand. Both projects had to stop, and now it was Enlil's turn to set the rules. He demanded it as the Lord of Commands. The biological son of Anu had the following to say: instead of terminating EA's projects, he wanted the humans to be less intelligent and more obedient and available for manipulation. Therefore, he wanted EA to fuse their DNA together, make them less intelligent and less multidimensional. He also wanted them to forget what they had learned from the trees of life and knowledge, and their lifespan should be decreased. Instead of having the chakras too wide open, all of them except the 2 survival chakras, survival and sex, should be closed down. The closed down chakras can be said are connected with the junk DNA scientists now have just hardly started to understand. Furthermore, he wanted the men and women of fire to be implanted between lives to forget all about the divine feminine and the feminine universe. No more goddess worship. "We are the gods," Enlil said in the middle of an adrenaline rush. "We are the ones to be worshipped, not some mother in the stars. We are the heirs of the universe, EA. We are going to take what is ours and the humans are going to help us." EA got furious. He could compromise with the intelligence level of his creation, but not with the fire. That was his ingenious idea and not to be tampered with. And didn't Enlil understand that to connect with the mother universe, they needed humans with fire? Enlil did understand, but without saying so to his brother, he was afraid of the humans. Their fire was very powerful. He was jealous of them but also afraid they would one day become greater than him. Still, he knew that if the Syrian overlords didn't get access to the fire, they had little chance to accomplish their goal to overthrow the mother goddess. "Well," Enlil said, "at least reduce their power for now. Create bloodlines who possess more fire than others, and these bloodlines are the ones we will take advantage of firsthand. These are the ones we'll make our personal slaves, especially the women. Let them have your blood and the fire of NEKH-TT, the fire of the Ka. Let the average mankind forget who they are and where they come from. If they still have the fire, we can take advantage of them, too, but if we breed certain bloodlines, we can let brother and sister, fathers and daughters, mothers and sons be intimate and bear children. These children will be ours to use. The rest of mankind will be our slaves, servants and foot soldiers as usual. Lastly, enhance the intelligence of those who used to be my minors and slaves before the passing of Sami to approximately the same level as the Erectus. Their genetic setup, however, shall prevent spirits of fire to enter these vessels. These humans will not have the fire of the Ka." Enlil and his brother sat quiet for a while, contemplating what had just been said. Enki thought that most of Enlil's ideas sounded reasonable, especially as he, NEKH-TT's son and MasterGeneticist, knew something Enlil didn't. Even if he stupefied his creation and reduced their fire by adjusting their bodies, the fire would not stay dormant forever, because that is the way of the fire. It can't be kept isolated and imprisoned for any longer duration of time. Sometime in the future, that junk DNA would start activating again, especially at the end of a cosmic cycle when information, carried on beams of light, gamma rays in particular, would hit the vessel of the fire. The human body. That would make people wake up again to their true selves. However, wouldn't that be a bad thing for EA and the Syrians? If humankind wakes up, we will once again be a threat to them, wouldn't we? Not necessarily, EA thought. Quite the contrary. If he, and his Syrian brothers, would at that point steer the awakening energies in the wrong direction, all that released fire that had been suppressed for so long could be used as an enormous boost and catapulted right into the mother universe. In fact, it was a great idea, he said to himself. If they did the same thing on other planets they had under their control, the released energies could be used exponentially. Perhaps it would be enough for them all to take over the universe. EA smiled to himself, but didn't mention this to Enlil at the time, knowing he was not receptive for it yet. And in addition, EA wanted to have time to think about this, because he wanted to be the king of kings of the new universe, and he wanted to figure out how to best get there. Enlil was once again the one who broke the silence. A couple of more things, he said. First of all, once we've managed to erase all the memories of the existing mankind and their future offspring, we need to control them with fear, more so than we did before. We need more food and energy, and that's how we'll get it. Keep them ignorant and distort the mother goddess religion. Let's tell them that right is wrong and wrong is right, and they will never figure it out. Let them worship us as their creators and their gods, and let them fear their supreme being. Promise them a paradise if they bow down to their Lord and threaten them with a place of eternal fire if they disobey. Make sure they understand that their eternal life depends on how obedient they are. Enlil was very pleased with himself. Secondly, he said and bent over the table to look EA, in his eyes, give Project Elohim to me, and you keep the Erectus, he almost whispered. I want the Elohim. They will be my cattle once you have adjusted them. Okay. And your Pleiadian friends, the giants who survived? For now, I want them under my command so I can keep an eye on them. If I don't have use for them, I want them to be terminated. EA nodded and said he was fine with this, although he had his own, secret plans. Enlil sat back in his chair and smiled, happy with the outcome. The two brothers stood up, shook hands and went in different directions.